There is no minimalist rule book. Well, until now. The Minimalists have created 16 rules for living with less, a free ebook which you can download right now at theminimalists.com/resources. Enjoy.
The Minimalists.
Do you think going back to a flip phone and not having the temptation of your smartphone at your fingertips all the time would help with the social media dilemma and fear of missing out? This is like, I keep talking about this. Why haven't I done it yet, Josh?
Yeah.
Why haven't I gone back to a flip phone yet?
I don't see the necessity for doing it, honestly.
Yeah.
What's the problem with the smartphone?
Still a cool experiment, honestly, is what I was thinking.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think it's fine. But like, I guess my question is, what's the point? What's the Here's a better question. What's the difference between a flip phone and a fart phone?
Patent pending.
Tag on it. She got to it before me. Patent pending.
So what's the difference between a flip phone and a smartphone that is stripped of the distractions?
The difference is accessibility. If I had only a flip phone, then you would, and most people, if they knew I had a flip phone, they would understand they don't have access to me as if I had a smartphone, which whether it's...
How so? They can still text or call you.
Yeah. The difference is like people, their expectations are different. That's what it is. People's expectations
Most people
are
know
different.
whether or not you have a flip phone or a smartphone, though.
Well, no, like the people who I talk to on a regular basis, they would know if I had a flip phone or not. Think about Leo Babalta. He has a flip phone.
Does he?
He used to. Maybe he doesn't anymore.
I don't think he does, but maybe he does. That's my point.
Right, but I know that if I think about getting a hold of Leo, that I'm in my head, I'm like, oh, he's got a flip phone. Twitter's probably not the best way to get a hold of him.
Right, but also, if you have a smartphone without Twitter on it, you can set that expectation as well.
Yeah.
My point is that, like, if you're talking about rendering the smartphone into a tool the same way a flip phone would be a tool, the question is then what is most effective for you? And then I think you can accomplish... the problem that I have with this experiment is that it requires acquiring another thing in order to simplify.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree. No, you can strip the smartphone and make it as useless or useful as a flip phone.
That's a good a good distinction, by the way.
Right. Right.
Or if you're going to do this experiment, I'd rather, especially since it is an experiment, I would, if I'm in your shoes, Sonia, I'd just get rid of the phone for a week or a month and altogether. And in doing that, you will learn a lot more about yourself and your habits, and you can bring it back in a stripped fashion where it actually is a tool, I feel like.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do you feel like those expectations are of yourself or the expectations that other people have of you? Because I feel like if I was to have... if I have a phone and I know that it has certain limitations, then I kind of feel like I can't go past that limitation, so I put less pressure on myself.
Yeah. I think it's probably multifaceted. I think in my head, it is my own expectations. However, I think it's the temptation of having the smartphone. Like that is what a flip. Oh yes, thank you for helping me clarify this. A flip phone takes away all the temptation, and ultimately that's the problem for me. Is that having the smartphone? I don't have Twitter on my phone, but guess what? I can go to Safari, and I can go to Twitter and check my Twitter. Yeah. Now it causes friction. I don't go to Twitter nearly as often. Same thing with email. I don't have email on my phone, but guess what? I can go to Chrome on my phone, and I can totally check my email on my phone if I have to. So
I'm wondering if you could delete the web browsers, though.
Yeah, maybe. But again, you're right. Yeah. But the temptation, that's the thing.
Right.
Like having that constant temptation. For example, you don't have social media on your phone, but every once in a while you want to post something on Instagram.
Yes, I have to download the app.
You got to download the app.
Yeah.
You post the picture. You put it back. But because you have the option, even though you do such a good job of not having that on your phone, like the temptation is still there. You'll still use the option.
Sure.
So with a flip phone, like you don't have that option of like, well, I'll just download the app and post a picture and delete it real quick. So it's really, the temptation, and that's what she's talking about. She's talking about having this smartphone at your fingertips, because that's what that is. It's having all that temptation at your fingertips. Yes, you could literally take everything off the phone except for phones and text, and it would be just as, again, useful or useless as a cell phone.
Yeah.
But the temptation, no matter what, is still going to be there. And I got to tell you, like, I can only be tempted so many times before I finally give in.
Yeah, I think it depends on like the hard lines that you require for yourself, and I think that's so personal to each individual person that like some people I appreciate that hard line. I set my phone aside, and I can forget about it too, and it's nice, but it would be nice to have that limitation. And sometimes I look at that light phone and I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
like being
right.
able to attach it, and then I don't have to change any numbers, and I have the option and screenless Saturday. And but
the light phone. Oh yeah, because it's like a Bluetooth connected thing.
Yeah, it transfers so that your phone can still receive calls from. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Again, the only thing I struggle with is buying a new thing in order to simplify.
Oh, I totally agree,
But don't
man.
you do that? Don't isn't that every kind of goal of every purchase? If you're trying to simplify your life and live most simply and effectively, like, isn't that kind of the way?
No, it shouldn't be. I mean, I think we should be able to simplify by. I think you would want to subtract by subtracting, not by adding.
Addition by subtraction.
But I guess what I'm saying is it's
Yeah, expound a
value
little
adding. Like regardless of if the ultimate goal is to have less, then yes, then that wouldn't necessarily be in alignment. But if the ultimate goal is for it to add value to your life, like we've talked about, like I feel like it's a tool.
I see what you're saying. Like if I had this orb,
like then it is a tool. Sorry,
and this orb, and I was like, and if you touch this orb, you're gonna have a better life. And I hand it to you and you touch it, you're like, oh my God, my life is better.
Yeah.
And it legitimately is. Then yeah, get the freaking orb.
Yes.
Life changing orb, patent pending.
Or get access to the orb, right? And
Right,
I think that's what I'm trying to say. Without needing to consume the orb, all you have to do is touch the orb. Then what you simply need is access.
That's a good point, yeah.
I think the problem with couching it in value, we have to be really careful about that, because we don't want something just because it adds value. We also have to determine it's the best use of those resources.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
Certainly.
And so, I mean, I think you could do this experiment also. Instead of saying flip phone, you could say landline phone.
Yeah.
And so there are different versions. In fact, I skew toward that. So you still have a phone.
Yeah.
But it doesn't allow me. I don't get to keep it in my pocket when I leave the house.
You feel like you're cheating if you were to do that. Like it seems to me like I feel like I think that Ryan and I probably have more personalities that are a little bit more like bull in a china shop and twitchy versus I don't think that tool would necessarily serve you in the same way that it would serve like me, because for me I'm like I would like that hard line, because I feel like I don't need it, but it would be helpful in the sense that like I know that I struggle with it. So it's kind of like when I'm doing yoga and I'm like, I need a block. It sucks to have to grab a block, but at the same time, I know that like if my poses are going to be better, then I'm going to grab it.
You need a block. Sure. And but just to grab a stack of books is not going to do it. Like, yeah, sometimes like you need the block. But to Josh's point, yeah, we're not encouraging anyone. We're not putting a hard line down right now and saying,
no,
if you buy a flip phone, your life will be better.
Certainly.
So
or
worse. Yeah. The thing is like, yeah, you don't want to. There's always a good excuse to bring a new thing into your life. Of
course.
So you got to be honest with yourself and ask you if you're like, using the excuse or not.
When I look at the flip phone, the question comes to my mind is like, but does that really eliminate the distraction? If what we're trying to do is get rid of distractions, then just get rid of the phone altogether. Get a landline phone, or go with no phone at all for a period of time. If you really want to eliminate the distraction, actually get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because with the thing in your pocket, you still have the texts and the phone calls and all these other distractions, and so you have to assess whether or not that is the best route for you.